Hello, everybody, and welcome to an amazing new episode of CLX Foundry Live. I'm your host, DJ Blue PDX, and joining me right now, of course, is our lead technical expert, Paul Steffens, and today's master builder, Zach Solo. I mean, Killingsworth. There we go. Sorry, we were talking about the fact that his holster looks like, Han Solo's holster. So we've got a fun show today. We're going to be building a giveaway, and we've got codes and things. But first, before I explain how the codes work, I want to bring in a special guest that we've got today. You've met him before. It's Aorus Eddie, the social media and community manager from Aorus. Hey, I know, right? And he's got cool stuff in. Hi, buddy. All right, so I know everybody's thinking, how do we get a hold of the giveaway information? Because we want to find out how we're going to get that cool case going on. And there's going to be a lot involved in this giveaway. So exclamation giveaway gives you all of the information, and you're going to hear codes. On Tuesdays, those codes are going to be giving out on the green side. That is our Kick side at kick.com/CLX Gaming. On Thursdays, those codes are going to be in the chat here on the purple side, twitch.tv/CLXgamingtv. You can also check out and look for any option of a code that might appear on our social media. That's YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. You might also find a code somewhere deep inside the Discord, and that's discord.gg/CLXgaming. And you'll definitely be able to find them over on my channel. We'll talk about that later. But right now, let's take a look at this wicked case, because I can't wait to time. And I'm going to ask Ivory what I'm allowed to say about what's coming out. It's already on there. This case not only is going to house a computer, you're also going to get a beacon mix crate and a beacon mic and a chair. I know, I'm freaking out right now. If I could have pushed an applause button, I would have. There we go. That is the graphic right there. The chair is wicked. It is a three-parter, and it's gorgeous. Brought to you by the wonderful people over at Anthros Gaming. Of course, we're in partnership with Beacon, XPG, Gigabyte, AData, and our friends over at AMD, because we are about to build something that is going to blow your mind. So, Paul, walk us through some of the ridiculous things we're about to shove inside this gorgeous box.
All right, so going inside this beautiful build right here, starting out with our processor, we've got the AMD Ryzen 7 7800X3D. To cool that, we've got our CLX Quench 360 AIO in black. This is the new version with the RGB elements as well. For our motherboard, we've got a Aorus X670E Master. Really nice motherboard. I think this might be first time on the show. We've used a couple of these high-end Aorus boards, so excited to get this one open and check it out. For the memory that's going inside this, we have 2 sticks of XPG 16 gigabyte DDR5 6000 speed in black with the RGB heat spreaders. And for our storage, we have a single 1 terabyte AData 700 gold NVMe M.2 drive. For our case fans, we have 8 of our Game DS Aeolus M2 fans, and for our power supply, we've got an 850 watt Game DS 80 plus gold Helios P2. All of it going inside of this awesome looking NV5 that we have. I love this design.
Yeah. And while they're pulling that up, I do want to say a huge shout out to everybody on all the different platforms. We're keeping track of all of your chats. We've got Kaidenlerm. I'm gonna be honest, I feel like I just butchered your name like 4 times. Kaido says, I got a custom PC from you guys. Great PC builders. Thank you so much. We're excited that you were happy with it. Diz over on the TikTok says, I need that case. I'm gonna be honest, Diz. Imagine that case in front of a black light. What? That'll be freaking awesome. We've got people over on the YouTube side of live today. Hello, welcome in. And all these people watching all in purple, including Defrina. G-Code's back. We got Danny Butt in the house. Hello, my dear. Manta Cloud Reaper. Hi. Good to see you. Good to see you indeed. We got Omek, AO, Jeff, Necro. Everybody's in the house today. Queso Goblin, Hashim. Hi, Hashim. So, yeah. Our go through that just so we can work through getting the case taken apart. So let's start with our motherboard. But while he's getting that unpacked, I want to talk with Eddie about a few things. So Eddie, so glad to have you on the show once again. Now you guys make some incredible products, but this is one of my faves of yours, and it is the Aorus. It is an X670E Aorus Master.
Yep.
It's wild. It's awesome. How much do you love motherboards?
A lot. I mean, it's hard to like go into details and stuff about motherboards, but once you know what it entails and stuff, it's like you really like geek out on all the features and like input outputs on the back. It's like the more USBs, it's like the better. And especially this one, I mean, here it has like the PCIe easy latch. So basically, you don't have to reach in and have difficulties removing your video card. And the same thing with the M.2. Super easy to install, super easy to remove if you ever need to. So really feature-packed motherboard there, and it's pretty high end there with the Master Series.
And I am glad you brought up our I/O panel, because the first thing I'd like to point out is connectivity. So let's take a look. First of all, this thing has only 2 USB 2 ports, which is awesome. So at the very top, you've got your CMOS button, then you've got your Wi-Fi antennas down below there. You're going to see your display port and your HDMI. Then we've got our top the only 2 USB 2 ports right there, and then we have a multitude of USB-Cs, and those, one is a Gen 3 2 by 2, the other is a Gen 3 2 by 2, so that means you've got lots of gigs going through there. We've got USB Gen 3.2, Gen 2s, type Gen 2 and Gen 1 ports all the way down the back, plus you've got your lightning fast Ethernet, followed by your SPDIF and the 2 sound ports. Now, I'm going to be honest, aside from needing a mic and a audio out port, that makes sense to me, especially with a high-end board, because we're going to be running sound through the graphics card. And so there you go. All right, let's take a look at that shielding. We've got some great heat shielding on this, both on the north bridge, on the left side. It looks gorgeous. And you've got some major panels. And what's interesting to me is how many M.2s you can fit on this thing, which is wild.
Yep.
There are 4 different places you can put M.2s, but as you mentioned, there's an easy access for the very top one, which is incredible. We'll get into that in just a second while he's putting together the AIO. Now, Aorus has also done some pretty interesting things with AIOs as of late. Do you want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, we currently have the Waterforce Waterforce X2. That's really cool. I mean, it's a 360 AIO, and we have magnetic fans, so it's like eases up on all the cable management, and also on the on the actual pump itself, it has displays for temperature and such. So it's a really nice AIO. It's, really good for cooling. Either your AMD side or your Intel side of processors.
It's fantastic. Speaking of our processors, let's talk about it. Our friends over at AMD sent us a Ryzen 7 7800X 3D processor. These are wicked fast and absolutely gorgeous. So, Paul, walk me through what's so amazing about this processor right here.
Yes, this is an 8-core, 16-thread processor. It's got a base speed of 4.2 and it will boost up to 5.0. So a very fast processor. Also, it is the 3D version, so that means it's using their 3D V-cache technology, which is essentially a way to vertically stack the cache, so it gives you a larger surface area so that you can fit more on there. Really great gaming processor here.
Now, Sexy Lover mentioned something, and I want to point this out just because it's actually not bad. Sexy Lover mentioned that, oh my God, touched the pin pads. So with the rubber gloves, mind you, talk about that, because there's a difference between pins on processor and pins not on processor.
Yeah, so you definitely want to be very careful when handling your processor and installing it on the board. AMD now has the lands on the processor, so there isn't any of those pins to bend on the processor, but that means that those pins are on the motherboard. So that's where you really got to be careful when you're putting this in. You don't want to bend any of those.
You also want to be very careful with your thermal paste, which is nothing you should brush your teeth with. Paul, Zach, what's the best way to apply it, and how do you know if you've got too much or if you don't have enough?
Ideally, you want about the size of a pea, depending on which processor you have. About the size of a good cooked pea, just a little dollop is perfect. You can have that in the center and then attach your heat distribution source, or you can spread it out and make it nice and thin, and that will also carry off any excess that is too much.
Yes. Now, Brandon Hadaway over on TikTok asked a good question. What GPU is close to the same size as an RTX 3080?
As far as like physical side, you know, the new 40 series and the Radeon 7800, 7800 XT, and XTX, those are all going to be kind of similar size. Once you're on that high-end stuff, there is a lot of variation though. So you can get one that's a lot smaller or one that's pretty large. There's a lot of different options to choose from there.
And of course, you could head right on over to aorus.com/graphic-cards if you want to find out more about how you can get a card from our friends over at Aorus, because they got lots of things to choose from.
We got white ones, we got black ones, we got...
You got all sorts of things, man. You guys have really stepped up your game when it comes to this. What's one of your favorite features about the new graphics cards when it comes to design?
Actually, the Master Series, it's pretty chunky. I mean, it's you know, it's like a brick, but it does have, you know, the LCD option on it where you can actually customize it, put like, you know, little animations and stuff like that. So you actually have fun with your graphics card and, you know, look into your case from now and then. So just so it's not just sitting there.
Right.
But yeah, that Master Series it's a really cool series that has that LCD on there.
Well, and I was looking over at there's the 4070 Ti Supermaster that you guys carry that has a really unique lighting array around the fans, which is fantastic.
Yep.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, a whole bunch of different designs. It's the halo effect it's pretty cool. I mean, a bunch of different designs and, you know, options you can go with to customize it, to make it your own. So it's really cool.
That is fantastic. Now, the other thing that's fantastic about this PC, because this is obviously the giveaway build, obviously we're going to be cooling our CPU with a with an Enermax. It's an Enermax, right? Or no, it's ours.
It is our CLX Queen.
Okay, that's not sure why that was selected. It is a CLX Quench 360. Now, this is really great because this actually has, it actually has the light up background on it, which is new. I love them. Lots of fun there. Let's see here. I want to make sure. And what's up? Okay. And by the way, JP Valora, hello. Hope you win. I hope you win too. And everybody else, always best of luck over here. Now, Alamer mentioned what I love about the latest water force coolers is that you can choose to go with screen on the 2X or without the 2 without the X, or with the 2 without the X. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I know that makes sense to someone.
Yeah, we have a couple different versions of it, so.
Nice. Awesome. I dig it. Now, next up is we're going to have to ram something in there. And it's our RAM, and that is going, I'm sorry, it's pun day. It is going to be 2 16 gig sticks of ADATA memory. It's DDR5 6000, the fastest we carry to my understanding. And of course, our friends over at ADATA have been generous enough to not only give us our operating system drive, but also our RAM. And if you can see the immersive screwdriver that Zach is using. Like, it's got, I love the fact that it's just got all these tools and you just pop it out. It's like a R2D2 droid. It's fantastic. First thing we're going to be popping off here is our very top, our primary M.2 slot. And this, of course, is going to be what we're using for our 1 terabyte ADATA Legend 700 Gold. It's an M.2 NVMe that's going to pop right in there. When it comes to putting these in, Zach, what are some things to keep in mind?
Well, with this motherboard right here, all we have to do is that.
Yep.
Just a little push down. We've got a nice little quick release spring lever action back here, so it makes it super easy to get our NVMEs in and out. I love it.
And then, of course, when you're applying a heat shield or you're putting on a heat sink, what are some things to keep in mind when you're doing that so that you make sure not to damage anything?
Yeah, definitely don't forget to peel any peels on any thermal pads that could possibly be on any heat sinks or heat shields.
Yes.
Yep.
There we go. Now, when it comes to heat shielding, you guys have really stepped it up when it comes to bringing out new and different ways of cooling the boards.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, you know, thermal conductivity and, you know, just thermals all together, keeping, you know, the actual board and the power delivery cool, we've stepped it up quite a bit. So, Yeah, I mean, and also it adds to the actual design too, so it makes it look even better.
Oh, it looks gorgeous. And the back plate. We already had somebody talking about the back plate saying, oh my
Right,
gosh,
yeah, exactly.
it's awesome. Oh, Daxified, what's the June code? Well, we haven't given one out yet, but I guarantee it'll happen eventually today at some point, somehow. No, this is probably going to be several. Old never gets the joke. Listen, I never get jokes. I give them. They usually don't get caught in my hairline. Will the Flute Boy. Hello. What is it? What CLX is this? This is our Horus. It is an NV5. It's a great build. We'll talk, and it's got some really cool cable management features we'll talk about in just a little bit. Oh, got it. That's what you meant. Andrea meant the Waterforce 2 X series ones are the ones with the LCD screen. The Waterforce 2 series does not have an LCD screen on it. Got it. Okay, now I understand. Took a second. I'm not always the brightest in the morning. And if you're watching over on Facebook, please feel free. And this goes for everybody. If you have a question or about a term or a phrase that you've heard that you're not familiar with or you'd like clarification on, trust me, somebody else probably has the same question. They just haven't asked it yet. So please throw it in the chat. There's no such thing as a dumb question. And I mean that literally. Okay, now we've got our case done. This case is a lot of fun. So let's start by talking about these little knobbies in the case. Paul, what the heck are those?
Yeah, so these are our standoffs. So this is what the board is going to sit on and what we'll put the screws in through the board and where the screws will go into. And the reason these are here is because we don't want the motherboard touching the frame of the chassis. Could cause some shorting out and stuff like that. So you definitely want to make sure you got your standoffs in the right spot before you install your motherboard.
No worries, Headstrong. I got you.
Yeah, I was going to read that out. Headstrong says, thanks, Zach, for building my inverted with the RTX 4090. It's coming today. I can't wait to hook it up. We're excited for you to hook it up because what you can do is take a picture of it, and then we've got a section in our Discord for setup pics, which is going to be fun. And you could actually show us exactly what your setup looks like, which would be super awesome. That joke never gets old. Okay. I see what you did there now, Will the Flute Boy. Was like, sorry, words are out of order, brain not firing all cylinders. Referring to the Ram joke. Yes, absolutely. And guess what? Well, listen, we both have had coffee. I've had too much coffee today, to be fair. I cut myself down to like a half cup of coffee, and I've been really good at it. And then today, I just kept drinking the coffee while watching Stephen Colbert's Open, and then realized I'd done the whole cup.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're a little amped up.
Just a touch. Well, plus we've got you here. So
right.
Now you are the social media and community manager for Aorus. If people want to find out, get into the Aorus community, what's that like? How does that happen?
For the community, we do have a Facebook group and our Discord. Basically, it's discord.gg/Aorus. You can join there, join the community there. Got a great group of people and a great server staff that's super helpful with, any kind of questions or issues that you might have with your products. And they're super helpful with getting it back up and running. In terms of social media, our channels are Aorus_NA, except for our Instagram is .NA, so you can, follow us at those social media channels, and we post some cool product images, videos on our TikTok, and as well as have other giveaways going on in terms of like influencers and such. So really cool stuff coming up actually in the next few weeks as well. So.
Are you saying that people might be able to potentially, possibly, probably, perhaps, allegedly find a code on your socials?
Definitely, yes. I would definitely, check out the socials, check out our Discord, and our Facebook group, because I'll throw them in there randomly, and
there we go.
I know people were asking about them with the last giveaway, and I was like sprinkling them in there. I'm like, okay, here's one, here's another one. So definitely check out our socials. Keep an eye out for those codes. So.
Love it. And of course, we've got Psychotic Skeleton. Okay, first of all, I absolutely love that screen name. That's fantastic. This build's going to look so good when it's done. Also, best of luck to all who entered to win. Yeah, I'm super jazzed. super jazzed about it. Hashim, he was mentioning all of the Aorus socials. He's actually the social media manager for it. So my advice is caffeine doesn't help my medication for migraines as caffeine in it delivery system. There we go. Yeah, I'm working my way down to shorter and shorter amounts slowly. It's a slow crawl, trust me. I'll tell you what's not a slow crawl is getting your motherboard mounted in here. Now, as you can see, there are a couple of little slanted sides behind that motherboard where we've got those rubber grommets, which means this motherboard doesn't sit directly on the back of the case. So technically this qualifies as like a 3/4 build instead of a 2/3 because it's a little closer to the back. Paul, why is that important and how does that affect the performance of what's inside the case?
Yeah, so that gives us some space in the back, mainly for cable management, but also for any extra 2.5-inch or 3.5-inch drives. If you guys have seen us build an NV5 before, you're familiar with that little door that swings out from the back. That's where we can put drives and hide cables as well. It's also got a good middle channel for it. Now our power supply is going to be down here under our PSU shroud, so that's another component that is sometimes in the back, but on this one it's down here.
Nice. And speaking of the shroud, there's this little angled box down there. Can you talk about what that hole is for?
Yeah, so this is where the back of our power supply is going to sit, and the reason why it's angled, you can see here, these are the feet. The reason why it's angled is this gives us more room for air to come in here through the bottom. So it gives us more air for intake, keeping everything a little bit cooler.
Now, noticeably, that's underneath the PSU shroud, obviously, which also lights up people. It's awesome. So why is it important, or is it important, to separate your power supply from the rest of the system?
So there's a couple reasons. Number one, I think, is for me, it's overall aesthetic. So we won't see the cables coming out of our power supply. Gives us a really clean look inside. But then also, our power supply is going to get its fresh air in from the bottom and spit it out this hole right here. So any of the heat that gets generated by the power supply isn't going to come into the main body of the case.
Nice. Yes, and heat management that's exactly right, Will. And so I've had people ask a couple times in private, in DMs or whispers, like, "Oh my gosh, what does that do, and why does it do it?" And so I'm glad we're able to talk about this. Mm-hmm. All right, stand that guy up and take a look at it. Look at that. Now, if you point out the LED rim on this, which is great. It goes all the way across the front and down the side, so it actually lights up and it matches up with your fans and any other case lighting, which is fun. Now, we do have a bunch of fans we're going to be putting in this, and it's not just people. It is 8 GameDS Aeolus M2 ARGB fans in black. We've seen these before. They're subtle, but they're awesome. So when it comes to lighting, Eddie.
Yes.
What's your preference?
I usually go with like a static color. I do like some RGB in my system. Sometimes, I'll just turn it off altogether, but it's been growing on me. And I usually stick with the one static color. I'm not really into the whole like crazy like pulsing, flashing. But there are people who like, that aesthetic as well. So.
Yep. Everybody's got that thing that they like. Mine is on blue, but it's got the blue with the sparkles. It's random little white spots.
Yeah,
just for no other reason than hilarity.
Yep.
There we go. Now, I do want to point out one thing that Zach is using right here, and this is what we mentioned a little bit earlier about the cable management, and that is the Velcro straps Fantex added to the back of the case. And Paul, can you talk a little bit about how those work and why they're important when it comes to building your PC if you're doing it on your own?
Yeah, so these straps right here is a good way to organize your cables. Now, we like using zip ties to keep everything really nice and tidy. So we'll use our zip ties. As you can see, that's what Zach's doing right now, getting everything managed. And then we'll use those Velcro straps to organize and tie down the cables to the case.
Got it. There we go. Marcus, hello. Yes, there. We've got Susaki. Oh, God, I feel like that's possible. By the way, we also have our very first code of the day. It is AFYS, which is APHIS, Alpha, Foxtrot, Yellow, Sierra. And your code is PASL, also known as PASL, or pastel without the important letters. I don't know where that came from. And that is, of course, Papa Alpha Sierra Lima. For those of you needing clarification, find these also, of course, over on our purple side, because that's where we send all our stuff on Thursdays, which is going to be fun.
Yep.
I did get a question, Eddie, about about the giveaway. People were asking, what are they doing to get that?
Oh, this.
Yep. Is that coming with the PC?
Unfortunately, he does not come with the PC. This is a Oris Chibi plushie. Unfortunately, he's the only one, other than the one behind me somewhere, that exists at the moment. So, actually, when we went to PAX East, I took him all around PAX East. Took some images, took some pictures and posted it on our Discord. So, I was keeping myself entertained as well as everybody else on Discord.
Well, and I was about to say, hey, everybody's going to have to get in line behind me, because as soon as we got on the call today and I saw it, I asked about it as well. I was like, I want one.
Yeah, once we get some more in, I'll definitely announce it and get some out to the some fans and stuff like that, and send you guys over to a couple. So
yeah, it's adorable, honestly, absolutely adorable. Now we're going, speaking of adorable, although this is a hard way to describe it, but I find it adorable. Let's talk about what's in Paul's hands. It is the Gigabyte graphics card. I don't know why my brain just stopped on that word. And this is an AMD Radeon RX 7800 XT. It's got 16 gigs of GDDRX6 RAM. VRAM. Here we go. Words, DJ. Come on, get it together. One of these days, it'll happen. Slowly but surely. Now, this is an OC edition. So, Paul, what does that mean?
That means that it is overclocked from the factory. So Gigabyte has taken this card and overclocked it from its factory settings.
Nice. I feel like, Eddie, you guys do that a lot.
yeah, we do have a big
push
line
things to the limit.
Yeah. We give a little like boost kick, so that you get a little bit more performance.
I love it.
So yeah.
Now, with this card, it's obviously a triple fan, so it's going to be a full length. How does that feel in your hands, Paul? Is it chunky? Is it heavy? Is it a little lighter than you expected?
It is on the heavy side, but it's not super heavy. So we probably will install an anti-sag bracket just for some extra precautions, but I think it would be okay if you were using this at home to not have one. Really like this card. We've got two 8-pin powers. I like that. Obviously a triple fan, like you said, DJ. It looks like we're gonna have some lighting elements as well, and this backplate looks really nice.
That's fantastic. Now, you mentioned something that some people might not have any idea what you're talking about. What is an anti-sag bracket?
Yeah, so an anti-sag bracket is for GPUs. Since graphics cards got really large, we started to notice that they would sag on this side right here, and that can cause damage to the card or the motherboard. So we like adding a little brace. That's what an anti-sag bracket does. Essentially, it's a brace on this side, so that way we got support on both sides, because obviously it's going to screw into the case right here where our video outputs are.
Now, speaking about graphics cards, because if you go to the Aorus website at aorus.com, subtle plug, there are three categories. You've got you've got the AMD series, you've got the other guys, and you've got the Aorus series. So what's the Aorus series about? What's the differentiation between that?
So the Aorus series is like the higher end graphics cards with the more bells and whistles, like the LCD screens, more of the LEDs on the actual fans and the card itself. And a little bit better cooling. Most of all the cards have really good cooling on there as far as the heatsink that's installed on them. But the Aorus line is a little bit higher end and gets you better performance as well. So,
gotcha. And you carry things from all across the board, and some of these are. I love the water cooled ones.
Yep. Yeah, some of the water cooled ones are really nice. So with the water block, and then I remember there's one with an actual AIO attached to it as well. So
yeah, and that was going to be my question: is obviously from the research side of things and the fan feedback, how popular has that water cooler been? Because it's one of the coolest things I've seen. I think it's awesome, but I'm also easily excited.
Yeah, the design of the water blocks are really nice. If you go into like custom water cooling, if you're into that, some of the ones with the water block are really nice and they stand out. If you vertical mount them and stuff like that. The ones with the AIO just gives you a little bit better cooling, so that there's no issues or anything like that. And if your case has room, definitely you can install that the second radiator, on the side or on the bottom.